Yo, what up, people? It's time to talk about the Heist League, I guess. So yesterday we got, well, I guess today, because it's the same time today. For me, still, uh, we got revealed the Heist League, which looks very interesting. Looks like it has some potential 5 heading in there, but also there's a tiny bit of concerns, which gladly Chris kinda took away from me during the interview with Ziggy. But yeah, so the mechanic is you kill stuff. You just kill stuff outside of the uh, the league mechanic place where you get rogue markers. That can be used then to teleport to the rogue harbor where you have the rogues, and it's like the new town-like area, and it's also used as a currency to then hire the guys to help you with your heists. So you get contracts from killing monsters outside in the world, uh, and then you do the contracts, which are like mini heists, I guess, where you have like one of the rogues with you. So that way you level the rogues so they get higher level skills, and you get blueprints for the grand heists, which are the big things where you have 3 rogues instead of one, to help you out with the. You can see the background like these are like this is like a rogue skill. It opens you the pathway, so you can progress in your heist. So you need the correct skills uh, to get through the heist and get the rewards. But yeah, so you get the blueprints, and then they'll have this like intel system that you then pay to reveal more about it, and the more you reveal, the more you know about the thing, but you don't have to reveal everything. However, until you reveal something like a reward room, it's not there, so you actually have to do it. There's probably like a minimum amount you need to reveal before you can do it, and then there's, I guess, eventually there's a maximum amount you can reveal, and I hope that when you reveal everything, like there's like a reveal progress or something that it would tell, or at the very least, when you have fully revealed, it tells you it's fully revealed or something like that. But yeah, um, I got mentioned we leveling the rogue skills. So each of the rogues has a main skill and then up to 3 like secondary skills. So we don't exactly know if there's any limitations on the main skill versus the secondary skills. We know that the max level of skill is probably 5 based on the requirements we've seen in some of the blueprints slash uh, contracts. So what I'm guessing is that the secondary skills can only be leveled to 4 and the main skill to 5. So there's some planning to do, and like some limitations when it comes to the grand heists, because you would only have 3 max level skills and then the rest being lower level, because we did see stuff where you needed like a higher level of certain skill compared to another. So I hope there's some little meta play there, personally. And you can actually never have all of the skills available to you anyways, because we have 3 rogues, which each has 4 skills, which is 12 in total, but there's actually 13 skills combined, like everything combined. So you're always going to be missing out one. But I'm expecting that you don't ever need 12 skills to begin with. It would be very interesting if you need it, but I think that gets a bit too convoluted and complicated and whatnot. So I don't know if that's the case. Probably not. And yeah, the more you level the skills, I believe they also become faster at doing them. So in some of the stuff you see that it takes like 6 or 8 seconds or something like that, which is a very long time just waiting to not do anything, unless you really like the animations of them. Uh, but yeah, so they should become faster with that. Uh, Also, everything you pick during the heist is not actually yours, it's a contraband, and it's only yours after you have safely left the heist. So you don't actually get them before. So it's gonna be very interesting when people die, when they disconnect, etc. So I assume when you DC, you're out of the area and you're like back to the rogue harbor, so you like lost it. So it's like a soft hardcore system, which is kind of cool. It's like kind of like a labyrinth, but except instead of losing the progress of the labyrinth, you lose all the loot. So yeah, that's gonna make some people mad for sure, and it's also it is a very grief enabling system, because let's say you're playing in a public party and you're doing a heist, like grand heist in a public party, where somebody picks up a mirror, but it's a contraband, so they don't have it yet, and then you just unleash whatever the GPU CPU melting build you're doing to DC/kill the players, then you pick the loot and leave. So I really want to see a montage of something like that happening, but that's also gonna make people very mad. So yeah, we'll see what that's gonna be like. Also, you can completely ignore the mechanic until you want to do it, because it's all of the stuff that you get is like itemized, which you can actually trade. So if you're missing something, you can buy it. If you have too much of something, you can sell it. You can create blueprints and then sell it to people, etc. So that's very cool. You don't feel like you're forced to do anything, except people probably feel bad for not doing it for the most part. So yeah, I'm certainly going to be doing it. Probably not through the leveling process, but once you get to, you know, at least the moment you get to maps. Yeah. Then there's this stealth mechanic and alert level. So if you've seen here, there's like the alert level. So at first I thought that, oh man, do you actually have to like be stealthy here and just not kill anything? But apparently the alert level is mainly increased, and it's mainly made to limit the amount of like the reward chests you can take, instead of limiting how much stuff you can kill on your way there. And also, once the alert pops, like here, then you can just kill everything. It doesn't matter. There's no time limit or anything like that. You see there, you see the bubble here. This is like was loot, but you can't take it anymore because of the alert is off. So it just like mainly limits on how much stuff you can get, which I think is fine. It's gonna feel bad, man, to have multiple good rewards and then only be able to take one of them or something like that. But yeah. Oh yeah, I guess more on the contracts. So the contracts are basically the mini missions where you get this one like item that you then get back and sell, and you get a lot of progress through that. They're like these things. These are just like artifacts or whatever that you steal out of them. I think there was we saw a map there. Like, yeah, they're like just the curio display room, something like that. But this is like the grand heist. This isn't the contraband. But yeah. And oh yeah, I guess here, so you can see the skills. We zoom in a bit. So here you see the actual skills of what is regarded. So this here, the nails things, is like an engineering. Then there's, well, there isn't many actually shown here, but that tells you like, here you have engineering level 1. So you need a rogue that has that. Then you slap it there, and it's whole that does everything for you. Well, obviously you click inside there to start the event or whatever. But yeah, so it's gonna be fairly. Yeah, there's two. I'm not exactly sure what this is. It's either this guy or that guy who's doing it. And there's another one here. So they just do all of these things for you. So you'll be seeing these guys a lot. Yeah, let's go back to the. Let's go back to this. Where were I again? Yeah, so it's more about limiting the loot and not forcing you to not kill anything, but you can also obviously just play like stealth if you want to get a tiny bit more loot. I'm assuming that's not going to be very optimal way of playing, so for the majority of the people who just want to zoom, they're probably going to be fine. So yeah, we're going to go full bank robber where we're just going to kill everything instead of sneaky haste boys, most likely. And yeah, all of this, the league coins, the contracts, the blueprints, are tradable. And my notes specifically for the league mechanic, so it feels really fun for me, with the assumption that there's gonna be some complicated, convoluted stuff in there that we can try to min-max with the limit of skills, the amount intel we get or should get. Do we just like entirely reveal the blueprint before we do it? I don't know, we'll see. How level matters, if it matters. I hope it does, like level as in the area level or the contract level or whatever. It can also be potentially very tiresome to watch the animations, especially if you can't really speed them up. We can give them some items that can give us, like, the players some buffs, bonuses, and then lower the speed of, like, how long it takes for them to do their things, and how fast the alert level goes up. So we can, there's some min-maxing to do with that to fit your playstyle, I guess. They did tease a boss, so even here you can see a mechanical robot like dog. If you pay attention, I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, there. So that's some kind of boss. More about that in a second. So there's some bossing action for sure. I really like that we're getting the contract stuff is like a mini mapping system which you can already start early in the game, which is very nice because that's kind of like the main gameplay action of PoE, is doing maps, and a lot of people don't get to actually play that. So they're them introducing a very similar like system that can be started from the beginning already is very cool. We'll have to see how that impacts like the amount of time people play and how fast they quit. Of course, if it's like very tiresome, way too complicated, etc., that's gonna affect it too. Even if it's, because mapping system in itself is quite simple. You roll a map, you slap it in, you go kill mobs, and that's it. So this is actually much more complicated than that. So it's definitely gonna play a part there. I really kind of wish we'd get like a seed cast type stash for the contracts and the blueprints, because it does feel like we're gonna have a lot of them, especially contracts. But then again, I might be wrong, and if you just continuously run them, you probably won't have that much. I don't know. We'll see. And finally, the mechanic itself is like super thematic to the game itself. It fits the game very nicely. Much more compared to like Harvest, where you grow seeds, or Blight with the tower defense stuff. So from that point of view, I think the league is definitely spot on. But it remains to be seen how good it actually is in gameplay. Then to some other stuff. So we got a bit of curse rework. Some mention here, which you can't properly read very well. Oh yeah, also there's a trinket, so I should probably mention the trinkets and the mechanics. So these are there's a new it's like a character slot. So in these trinkets you can get a bunch of, where are you again? You can get a bunch of bonuses like this. For I think the chance to recall orbs to drop exile orbs in heists probably is like super rare mod. But for the most of the mods that I've seen, they are like heist specific, with the exception of the increased rogue markers drop by monsters, the second line on this. So you probably do want to have that on when you're just mapping to get more markers, because that's like the main currency that you're using. So that's kind of cool. You can customize what you're getting out of them, and I assume because the what the loot drops from the heist or the grand heists is somewhat loosely tied to the type of heist it is. So there could be a case where the double scarab from heist chests is completely useless, but I'm also expecting the chests to show like an icon, you know, during like a legion, where it shows it has you know, main like a scarab reward, for example. So if it is like that, you might want to actually have a few of these with you in your inventory when you're doing them, just to swap for them for optimal outcomes. But it remains to be seen. If they don't show them, then you're just using the one that you want to use instead of min-maxing, swapping them between. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so about the curses, there was a what's mentioned here. Yeah, so we got a bit of a curse rework where self-cast curses, they're also called hexes now, by the way. When they're not triggered, they have this do mechanic which increases the power of the curse the longer it's on the target, up to a point where it expires. So that's very interesting way of trying to make people actually use curses manually again. If it works with Bane, well, then that's gonna be definitely useful, because Bane builds are pretty popular in general. They're very good, so that's nice. I'm expecting them to actually nerf the baseline of curse power a bit because of this new mechanic. I hope they don't do that, but I'm expecting them to do it. Also, I wonder how this is gonna work with when you scale the duration. So is it like a percentage of how long the curse has been on, or is it like an actual duration based, like in seconds, for example? Because if it can scale quote unquote infinitely, so the longer the curse it is, the more power it gets if there's no cap to it, then something like duration and then temp chain, because temp chain also makes other stuff last longer. So very interesting to see how it actually works mechanically. And like I mentioned, probably a baseline nerf to curses because of that. We got a bunch of other skills as well. We got a new entirely like a new steel mechanic where you have like blades behind your character, which is like ammunition, but also give like buffs to the steel skill stuff. And then, yeah, it looks very interesting. We'll see how it plays out, and it like gives you a new skill that first, like if you don't have any of the ammunition behind you, it creates them, and then when you impale stuff, you like rip off the impales, and there's like explosions and what's happening, and it looked very cool. We'll have to see how it plays out, how like the values, etc. We're getting a firewall or flame wall, which I'm expecting won't do a lot of damage on its own. I hope it does, because it seemed to have very limited like AoE, so it could like look like a nice like a fire damage over time, like single target. But the cool, interesting thing about it, Damamage, is any projectiles that is shot through it, you or your allies, which also includes minions, they get some fire damage, and then if I remember correctly, also some of the dot damage is applied through that. But it could be very interesting with something like summon skeleton mages, for example. I don't know, depends how much damage it gives, but it's mechanically it's very different from what we've seen so far, so it's very interesting bit of that. Glacial Cascade and Discharge are getting some reworks to make them better, or like used more as self-casting. Remains to be seen what they're doing with that. Maybe they're nerfing the baseline skill, buffing the hand casting option, and then yeah, I don't know, we'll see. We got a Black Hole, which is a cheap course removal, I guess, as a one like skill point, but it also has a cooldown, so I don't know how good it would be for delving from that point of view or anything like that. But it looked amazing. You plant it down, it starts sucking stuff in, and then if it's something dies near it, it just sucks it all. Like there's no corpse or anything like left. Also nice griefing for playing with friends who need corpses for DD, VD, and minions, etc. Then we have Blazing Salvo, which is kind of like, it looked like, where are you? Looks like a Molten Strike, kind of, with the balls. But the further away you shoot from your character, the more they spread, and the closer you have to your character, the more like AoE overlap you get on single target. So mechanically, it's very cool, you know. I like that. Remember to see how good it actually is, though. We will have to wait and see. Then we're getting into some other interesting stuff like the replica uniques. That's yeah, the replica uniques are very cool. A very cheap way of them introducing a bunch of new stuff without spending a lot of time. For example, Sora of the Divine normally would give Zealot's Oath during Flask effect, but the replica gives EB in the line of pause. Normally it's Rain of Arrows, here it's Toxic Rain. Then we have a shittier Abyssus, which gives you flat damage and increased elemental damage instead of physical. So yeah, and then there's also like new base types. So this, for example, has a very low physical damage, but it has like T2 flat fire. So that's very cool. Can't wait to see what else we'll have with this. Just have to wait and see, as usual. But yeah, these are definitely gonna be changing a lot of. This is gonna enable a lot of new stuff with the replica uniques. Then we're getting 25 new unique items, which as I believe are not included in the replica things, but basically there was a mention of like 100 or something replicas. So that's a lot of new uniques to play around with. Then we're getting 900 new alternate quality on existing, probably the new skills as well, active skills and support gems. So some of these are very, very big. Like for example, there was a quality for Flame Blast. I don't know if it was actually shown in here specifically, but no, it's not shown in here. But for example, Archmage here, quality gives added cold damage of the mana cost. There was a Flame Blast one that gave you chance to poison and converts fire damage to chaos damage. Then we have like a Herald of Agony, which gets the minion deals less damage, but it gets a chance to inflict Withered, which is very nice for a lot of poison builds. Just having the Herald of Agony as a Wither inflicting boy there to help out with a bit. So these are insane. These are massive. These are gonna change so many things. Like for example, the Archmage is basically making you build entirely different. The Flame Blast is gonna make you build it entirely different from normal. Then we saw an aura with burning damage on Anger, which usually auras just give you AoE. So being able to have auras on builds that don't care about the AoE with something useful on their quality is gonna be goddamn nice. I really like that. I also really hope that the alternate quality is gonna be included in the filters, so we can actually see whenever alternate quality gems drop. Or maybe they are doing. I remember vaguely seeing Bex mention something about trying to make them, easier to see and whatnot. So yeah, that's this is very exciting to me. So very, very, very exciting to me. And we might actually see Enhance used more now on supporting like active skill setups, like Immortal Call, Blood Rage, yada yada yada. Maybe a lot of the things that we never considered before, you might want to use Enhance on it now because of the quality. I have a really hard time seeing a lot of people seem to be hyping up like using Enhance as a sixth link. But the quality on your gem has to be insanely valuable, because Enhance only affects active skills, not support skills. So Enhance doesn't do anything for the Archmage, for example, but it would affect the Flame Blast to give you more conversion. So I have a really hard time seeing Enhance used on a main like damage in 6-link setups. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and some of the qualities are so ridiculously important that you'll do it. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm not expecting to see that a lot. We're getting new enchants to weapons and body armors, and also Chris did mention with the talk with Ziggy that they are tinkering around with the idea of these being transferable in some high-end game currency that isn't like super common, and that items that drop with these also these are all from Grand Heists, same with the gems. So yeah, they're gonna be having higher stats in general when they get these. So you don't just get a shitty base with a good enchant and you have to roll for it, but you can roll them. So there's that. Like for example, that also gets a link here. While it's really nice early on, that's definitely not an end game enchant you want, because you would want a proper enchant and then normal just 6-link it, right? But yeah, remains to be seen what kind of cool stuff we can have here. This is just basically 15% more damage. Well, not damage, like, you know, modifiers from the physical stuff. So there are definitely a lot of potential here. I mean, have life modules have increased effects. I'm expecting like ES or like defense modifiers have increased effect, which is insane for like Sage Scarps and Trickster, etc. While regardless, we'll have to just wait and see, get more of info of this. But I think at this point they have to include the currency that allows to move the enchant. Also, that's not moving enchants from Helm enchantments, it's literally just for these. I believe. And yeah, I've also mentioned the experimental base types. We've only seen the T2 fire damage to attacks bow base. But yeah, have to wait and see, I guess. My only real concern right now is not even about the league mechanic itself, but rather how the league mechanic is gonna be for the event that Ziz and Vyro have been hyping up as to be the biggest POE like race event ever. Because if you talk about the Oshapi kill, it was a cool event and all that, but how to get there from a race point of view was kind of lame, because you never needed to do a single map higher than T11, and if you wanted to actually minimax the way to get to Oshabi, you actually wanted to do something like Quarry or like low tier maps just to get that one T4 seat done, and then you start rushing for the Oshabi, which is 100 T11 maps or higher. So I really hope that there's some requirements for the end game content of the league limited in actual high tier maps like T14 plus, which seems to be like the threshold for the Atlas stuff. So I wish that the league mechanic would also have that, where you need to have all watchstones. Well, not all watchstones, but enough watchstones to get T14 plus maps. So yeah, I really hope it's gonna regard people to actually push into high-end game, and not just do low or mid-tier maps to get there. Yeah. We saw the dog, right? Somewhere here, there. So I'm not sure if that's a mini boss or the actual end game boss. We'll see. Definitely something. This is definitely something. Because there wasn't, Chris didn't talk about it. Maybe they just didn't want to talk about it because on Friday we're gonna, which is 2 days, we're gonna learn more about the event, because I think that's when the announcement is. So maybe they're just waiting for that before they start talking about any of that stuff. And now that we're talking about the low level stuff, so Quarry has been a thing for such a long time. So it was directly asked from Chris about low level content for the league mechanic, and they said that because you have to kill stuff, you would have to, like, to get the rogue markers and whatnot, you would have to like full clear the quarry. But quarry isn't the only low tier area that is very easily farmable. There's Blood Aqueduct, and then there's Harbor Bridge, which is actually probably the best place early on to farm Delirium for Cluster Jewels, if you don't need a specific item level for your modifiers, which in a lot of builds you don't. Like for example, ED only needs item level 50 medium Cluster Jewels for the notables that I would recommend using at least. So it remains to be seen how good those are. Harbor Bridge is also really good for farming early game Alvas. Not as good as Quarry, of course, because in Quarry you can just like literally reset at the waypoint to see if Alpha spawned. But yeah, I'm expecting, unless they're doing something, because they specifically mentioned Quarry, which makes me slightly worried that they're forgetting about the other stuff that's also really good, like the Harbor Bridge. Now sure, being able to farm the low level stuff is kind of cool, but currently they kind of outweigh a lot of the low tier maps and mid tier maps, and only at the high tier maps when you can, like, they're actually just better again. So I really hope that's not gonna be the case, and they just straight up almost killed the Harbor Bridge Blood Aqueduct strats for a certain point. And again, that's why I hope that there's a limit or like a requirement for the high end stuff to only be in high level maps. Both for the sake of the event and for the sake of the league mechanic itself not being played a lot in low tier content. Yeah. Past that, again, I think the league itself is all really good. It's super thematic to Path of Exile, and I'm expecting that there's some secrets in the vaults waiting for us. Yeah. Until further information is out, I'll see you guys later.